Today we'll be looking at the Fujifilm Superia Xtra 400 film simulation and how it performs in a range of different conditions. So stay tuned and let's get started. So in my last film simulation review, we looked at the Kodak Vision 3 250D film simulation, and I learned a couple of crucial things. The first is that there are film simulations out there that will give me a distinguished enough look that it won't make me want to edit my RAW files, which is a massive tick in the box. The second is that these can actually have a strength that will really define an image and give it a unique character. So I knew that this is an area that I wanted to explore a little bit more. But where do you even start? Well, I went on the Fuji X Weekly website to have a look if there was a film simulation that caught my eye, and there was one indeed. So today we're looking at the Fuji Superia 400. Now this is an interesting one because it's not a film simulation that springs to mind as a classic one that I would like to try and mimic through a film simulation. But what really sold me on this was the in-depth description that there was on the website about the painstaking lengths that someone went to try and recreate this film in a simulation. You can see they went through multiple rounds trying to refine exactly what this would look like to get it as accurate as possible, and that was something that I found very interesting. So I dialed it into my camera and I took it out with me to do some shooting. I took it to an on-track event that I was invited to, as well as several different locations, including a weekend getaway in a cabin. So let's see exactly how I got on with it. My first outing with this was in West London, over near where I used to live, in the Marylebone and Paddington area. The first thing that did take me by surprise was the underlying warmth in these images, although it was approaching golden hour, so it's kind of understandable. I do think that there's reasonably good contrast in some of these shots, but I would love the mid-toners to be a little bit deeper. These are the type of greens that Superia is famous for, and I was really pleased with this image. I headed over to Edgware Road, and the sleek houses were replaced with these maximalist shops bursting with life. As the sun began to set, the golden light really enhanced these images, and I loved the contrast in some of these shots. On have invited us to go to the night of the 10,000 meter PBs, so I'm taking my camera along and we'll see if we can get some shots. far cry from the hectic track night, I also took this camera with the film simulation loaded away for a cabin getaway for the weekend in the countryside. I think this is where it came into its own. The green tones were really lovely, the warmth and coziness of the cabin really came across well, and I loved some of these shots. We've got a church just up here, seems to be no shop. Someone is barbecuing and it does smell good. This was one of my favourite shots from the whole weekend. I just think it dealt with this high contrast situation really well. I also really like this portrait of me. I think it handled the skin tones really pleasantly. In low light and in artificial light, it also really shined. These shots, together with the ones that I got in the floodlights of the 10,000 meter PB event, showed that it deals with this really well. I feel like when looking at this actual film, it was the greens that really made this a compelling proposition. And it's the greens where I feel like this film simulation is kind of make or break. It's kind of a funny one because there are many photos where I feel like it really nails that green tone that you would see from using an actual roll of Superia film. And this is absolutely exceptional. But there's other times where there's a funny purple tint to the overall image, and I feel like the greens really suffer as a result. You can see in some of these examples, it's not quite what I was expecting from this film simulation, and that I found took a little bit of the shine off the overall experience. But what did I like? Well, I like the fact that this isn't such a distinguished look when compared to the Vision 3 film simulation. This one seems much more standard. You can definitely tell that the colors have been dialed in and there's some film-like qualities to all of the images, but it's not too strong or overpowering. I found with the Vision 3 one, it was very warm and it just gave a funny overall look to some of the shots, especially when you weren't shooting in direct sunlight. With this one though, I found it to be exceptional in all lighting conditions. I was really impressed with some of the low light track shots that I got, which were all floodlit and with artificial lights, as well as just as a general purpose film simulation when walking around. I in fact showed an image that I had shot to Liz, and she said that the combination of colours of people sat on a bench together looks really good. They were all wearing completely different colours in their outfits, but this film simulation brought it together and gave a real harmony to the overall colour effect that made it look really pleasing. And that is one thing that is going to suit you really well with this film simulation. I find that it's a great one to just stick on the camera and forget about it, and every single shot looks good. Now, there are certain situations where it could be better, or you could be tempted to edit the RAW. It doesn't give you like a distinguished look, so you would know it would be that film simulation like some of the others do, but it's a really good, standard, useful, everyday thing that you can upload to your camera and get great images with a very little effort. In fact, perhaps the best thing I can say about this film simulation is that I intended to take it off my camera before I went on the cabin getaway. I thought, because I was going to shoot some images there, that I would shoot the RAW and then edit them, and there was no need for a film simulation dialed into my camera. In fact, I didn't even bother doing that. I just left it on and took photos as it was throughout the weekend. Those images I may go back and edit, but as a first try, as a first pass, they are completely acceptable, and I really like the effect that it gives them. I have to say, I do think this is one of the best film simulations that's probably on that website, and all the effort that went into the development of it paid off, because it really does look like a very pleasing, very realistic representation of what a classic Fujifilm stock would look like on a digital camera. One thing that I did notice, and perhaps a little critique, is I would like there to be a little bit more contrast in the midtones. I found that if I just bring the midtone slider slightly down when I'm color grading in this video, I get a much more pleasing image, and that's what I would have liked throughout. Now, this is only in situations where there isn't that much contrast. I found in situations like golden hour with some direct sunlight, or even in midday, it flourished, but it was just in slightly overcast conditions where normally in Lightroom I would whack that contrast slider up a little bit. I found it to be a little bit lacking, but that's really easy to fix, and it does most of the hard work in lifting in terms of color harmony for you, and for that reason it's still very, very useful. And that's it for this video, another film simulation, and another excellent way to enhance your photos. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments below if there's a different film simulation that you would like me to take a look at, or if you think this could be the one to level up your photography game. I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching. I upload every single week, Sunday at 5 p.m, so do consider subscribing if you enjoyed this one, and I will of course see you next week.